Hello, everyone. Is everyone there? Can everyone hear me okay? How is the lighting? The lighting looks like it's a little dark. I don't know if it's an Instagram issue or what, but my lighting looks a little dark today. And I can't quite figure that out, but we're going to go ahead and do the show regardless. So, folks, what I'm going to do is I am going to log off and I'm going to reconnect because there's something going on with Instagram right now. I just want to make sure everything's fine. Oh, but Larry said it's fine. All right, so we're good. All right, so folks, welcome to Soapbox Sunday. I'm Jermaine Taylor. And folks, today it is no politics, no social unrest, nothing serious. We are talking big. We're talking larger than life. We are talking drag. Folks, I couldn't think of anything further from the seriousness of what we're dealing with in this earth other than the topic of drag and the joy that it brings. Drag and the business of drag is firmly planted in our society and our culture. And folks, it ain't going nowhere. And today, we are discussing its evolution and we're toasting its future. I have pop culture expert Frank DeCaro and legendary drag icon Hedda. Hedda led us. Oh my God, I can't believe she said yes. They're both on, and we are going to talk about drag and its evolution, and we're just going to get right to it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Frank DeCaro on to the soapbox. So you guys just hold, all right? Hold on. Alrighty. Frank, are you there?
Hello, darling.
Hello, I see you waiting, but you hadn't jumped on yet. It's just they're still waiting for Frank DeCaro.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so I don't see your face though. Wow, this is really weird. I just hear your voice.
I see me, and I'm wearing a mask for you and everything.
Oh, and do you see me as well?
I'm wearing my mask and everything, but I'll take it off. Can you hear me all right now?
I can hear you fine, but can you see me? Oh, there you go. Yay! There were some Instagram connection issues. I was getting all these weird stories from Instagram saying that it was doing something weird. But anyway, you're here. Oh my God, lips.
It was the 45th anniversary of Rocky Horror, either yesterday or the day before. And so I thought I'd wear I hadn't worn these yet, so these are my Rocky Horror lips mask.
You're debuting them on the soapbox, and I love it. Folks, Frank DeCaro is not only my friend, but he's a comedian. He's an author of Boy Named Phyllis is one of his books, and his most recent book is Drag, combing through the big wigs of show business. Frank, you know what's fascinating? I was telling a person that we were on a show together. I've got a secret.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, I used to watch Frank on that every night. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm telling you about this show, and you don't even remember me.
Wait, meanwhile, you have the ultimate moment of the entire 40 episodes when you met Martha Wash. She was the celebrity, and yes. you took your blindfold off, and you went off like a NASA rocket, and suddenly there you were. You were circling the moon. And then circling Martha Wash. It was the greatest moment of the entire 40 episodes that we did. Was that not the most fun?
Frank, let me just tell you, it was genuine because that woman has always been an icon to me. I knew her before I knew her. I knew her voice because I used to love CNC Music Factory. So remember that?
No,
so I knew her voice, but I never knew who she was until I got older. And so when I finally started connecting all the dots, I was like, oh my God, if I ever met this woman, it would be a dream come true. And lo and behold, the producers didn't even know about that, what was so fascinating.
Yeah, they didn't know that, but you're a good actor, but no one could act the way as thrilled as you were. You really, I thought if Jermaine doesn't have a stroke, he'll be okay. You know, really, that was what I was worried about. I thought he's gonna have a stroke during this. But
you remember on that show there was we had a contestant that had a secret, and you had to recuse yourself because you knew something about them pertaining to the Munsters.
Oh yeah, it was the lady with the Munsters house, wasn't that the deal? Maybe
yeah,
was that what it was?
You had to recuse yourself, and I was like, oh my God! And then come to find out, the Munsters had something to do with your love of drag. Am I correct?
Yes, the Munster. Actually, that's where it all began. Okay, my book began with an interview with Hedda Lettuce, but my love of drag, Hedda was the first interview. but my love of drag began. I was about 4 years old, and the Munsters was in reruns.
Okay.
And or it just maybe it wasn't even rerun yet. But I was like 4 years old, and Herman Munster. There's an episode where he gets hit by a bolt of electricity in the lab, and he wakes up, and he looks like Fred Gwynne, the actor.
Right.
You know, and he's handsome, and you know, but the family's horrified because he doesn't look like Frankenstein monster anymore. So they try to make him over again, and instead they get it as close. They make him a girl. Grandpa makes him a girl, and so he's the first trans character on TV, I think, because he's not in drag; he's a trans character. But it's
right.
He becomes Aunt Herman. But there was 6'6" Fred Gwynne with barrel curls, and it would sort of look like, imagine a 6'6" version of Hedwig, and there you go, you know. And so that was beginning of my love of drag, and then it was Flip Wilson, you know, pioneering African American variety artist, comedian, storyteller, and he would do a Geraldine character, Geraldine Jones.
He would.
And so he was my other favorite, and it just kept going from there. It did. Do you know there's a drag connection to I've Got a Secret? Do you know what's behind the scenes? Willem.
Yes.
Superstar Willem. Yes.
Yes. You're totally right. You're totally right. In the beginning, it was supposed to be him on the panel because they wanted to go really wide with it, but then they sort of reined it in. Which sort of leads me to my first question. I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned Geraldine and then, you know, drag in the 70s when it was in the media. Do you feel like that it was a strategy that we could recognize a man in the dress in order for the masses to digest it and get in on the joke, as opposed to where we are now, where it's full on illusion?
Oh,
Do you think that was strategy then?
I think drag artists were forced to always remind the audience that they were men in dresses, because I mean, there were some laws in some towns where they had to take the name Mr. before their drag name. So there's Mr. Charlie Brown, who's a big deal in Atlanta. There was the tradition of whipping the wig off at the end.
Exactly.
It was so the guy could parts of him could calm down if he was turned on, and he could stand up. I think if a fella got a little enthused, you did ta-da, so that they could calm down before they paid the check and left. I think it was a lot of let's make men comfortable. I don't think women gave it.
Yeah, I don't think women really got the issue. Yeah.
So but I do think straight men, to be made to feel comfortable, had to be shown up. It was an illusion. It was all in fun. Look at me, I'm a fella just like you. Surprise, you know. And you know, I think that was what made it palatable in those days. And thank heaven. And I give a lot of credit to RuPaul's Drag Race for this.
Yeah.
RuPaul's Drag Race has, because of those confessional videos, really have shown that drag performers are simply Americans who have dreams and want to work and want to be loved and are not even Americans. They're just people, you know. I mean, it's all over the world. But they're people who want to be in love. They want to have children, maybe. They want to have a job. They want to pay their rent. They want to get applause. They want their mothers to Skype them. You know, I mean, they want everything anybody else wants. Parental approval.
Let me ask you this. Does the public, can we say that in general they're able to divorce themselves away from the LGBT aspect of it and just look at it as pure entertainment? Or is that projected on it too?
I think now you can have both at the same time.
Okay.
I think that in the old days, you had to say, "Oh, I'm married to my work," or, "Oh, these are just my work clothes," or you know, I don't, you know. Meanwhile, you know, they were not being given, and in some ways, they're still not being given their due simply as performers. You know,
right?
And say funniest drag comedian. It's never. You know, there are very few people who are quicker on a mic than Hedda Lettuce or Lady Bunny or Bianca Del Rio or any number of other, or Nina West, you know. And honestly, they don't get their due because they should just be on a game show when they need someone. They should just, when somebody drops out on a talk show, call Hedda Lettuce on, you know, for Jimmy Kimmel and let her talk on the air about her day. People
Yeah.
used to do that. And,
Yeah.
you know, and comedians get that job. And it's like, well, what? Because their work clothes is a dress. They don't get to just be interesting. And, you know, I mean, they really, you know, call up Jackie B. Get her on there. Call up
There
the
she goes. I feel like we're moving
Call
toward
up
that
Lady White
again.
Castle and get her on there. Okay.
There we go. We're moving toward that, to be, in my opinion, to be honest with you. I feel
Yeah.
like the revolution with RuPaul is actually heading us in that direction because, you know, we're looking for more content now more than ever because of where we are in society. And I feel like it's being ushered toward that. But when you were presented with the idea of writing this book, Drag, your most recent book, did you realize you had that much information inside of you?
Not the day I had lunch with the publisher.
Okay.
The publisher from Rizzoli came to me and said, I think someone should write a book about drag, and I think it should be you. His name is Rob Perlman. I love him for it.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I've done drag twice on Halloween and twice for a video, web series. It's like, that kind of thing. That doesn't count. One time I look like a Far Side lady, I look like a kid who got into his mother's cosmetics. It's not for real. But it dawned on me that because my appreciation really runs from my infancy, I'm not kidding. The moment I saw Herman Munster in a dress, I was like, this is fantastic.
Wow.
And so I realized I was drag hag number one. I really, and because of my decrepitude, because of my age, I saw Sylvester live. I saw Flip Wilson live. I saw Jim Bailey live. Charles Pierce followed the careers of people like Hedda and Charles Bush and Lipsinka and Bianca Del Rio and RuPaul. I met as a brunette, as Hedda did back in the day. We would
Star Booty. Nobody knows
Star
that.
Booty. It's true. And I would see Ru dancing at the World, which was like second and C, okay, in Alphabet City in New York, Lower East Side.
The Lower East Side. Wow.
And in 1988 or 89, that was taking your life in your own hands to go there at 1 o'clock in the morning. However, it was fantastic. But I'm telling you, even in those days, if I would, the next day, RuPaul said hello to me. I'm telling you, that bitch was going to be a superstar. There was no question in anyone's mind. She lit up a room with that mouthful of teeth and that spirit that's huge. And there was no question she was going to be a superstar. One year, my mother was like, can you get me RuPaul's calendar for Christmas? And I was like, okay, crazy Italian lady, I'll do it for you, And but Ru is America's drag queen, and now, thank heaven, she's unleashed. Hundreds of queens. Yeah. I think though the T-shirt and that I love now. Well, the two things. The hashtag I love is all drag is valid.
Yes.
If you're biologically female, if you're whatever your plumbing looks like, it doesn't matter. You get out there, play a man, play a woman, play a superhero, play a squirrel. Just get out there, and if it's got false eyelashes, you're in. Just go and as long as you got the talent and you can, command the attention of an audience. I think that's important, and I think we really have to sort of, look at drag as that it is more than, when you said about it not being political today, it kind of is.
And I was going to segue back into that. Yeah, you're right.
Look, Hedda got her, well, she'll tell you, but she started as drag activism in the streets, and a lot of people, by drag queens' very nature, drag queens, drag kings, AFAB queens, by their very nature in our divided, combative society, they're forced into being more than just entertainers because there are people who want to deny them, who want to keep them in the box of, make us laugh and then disappear. It's like, well, that's not happening anymore.
So is it an economy now, you think? Are they making a living, these drag queens, or are they having to do other jobs to support it? Can we consider drag being its own entity as far as an economy, a lucrative, I'm able to pay my mortgage doing what I'm doing? Or is it just a case-by-case thing? Like, how would you surmise that?
I think it would be a case-by-case thing. And
Right.
the one downside is there is a portion of the audience, and I don't really know how big it is. I hope it's not as huge as I kind of think it may be, where the least talented queen, and which has nothing to do with the order they were kicked off the show either, by the way.
Right.
But the least interesting, there are some of one that I'm just like, this isn't interesting to me, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my own trip. But those queens, the least talented Rue girl, can command more money sometimes than a legend. And that's disconcerting to me, because legends bring experience and talent and smarts. And not only can they look fantastic on Instagram Live, they can be handed a microphone with no notice and told, go work that crowd for 20 minutes while, you know, Margaret Cho gets ready. And they can do it. You know, I mean, it could be, you know, they have the talent and the smarts. And sometimes there are people who, as they say, just want a photo to put on Instagram. They don't, because they've seen them on TV. They don't care how talented they are. So that's disconcerting a little bit to me. However, everybody, you know, even if they've never been on the show, everyone seems to be saying to me, I was interviewing drag kings recently for an as yet to be published piece, and they were saying, look, we've never been invited to be on RuPaul's Drag Race, but drag has become such a big thing that we are now on the bill, and you may not have come to see the drag king, but if we impress you enough, you'll go to see us, or you know. So everyone is benefiting by it. To me, the big benefit, though, is not only earning a living, which I hope continues and gets bigger for the girls and the guys, but I really hope that people see them as full human beings. Because the drag queens we loved in the 60s and 70s growing up, they had to lie about their own lives. They had to pretend to have girlfriends and wives and get into fist fights to defend their masculinity, as opposed to, girl, of course, you know, that's Mr. Faggot to you. You know, if it was, you know, they weren't able to be that. They had to sort of put on airs of heterosexuality. If that was...
Does Dame Edna sort of recall that sort of life? I mean, when I look at Dame Edna, with me, because I kind of know his backstory, I still see the act as opposed to him being a drag queen. He's like a straight man. That's just his act. So would he particularly speak to that old way of approaching the art of drag, or where does he fall in line?
Yeah. Well, the upsetting thing to me is he has said some transphobic things lately, and you're just sitting there and you're thinking, don't poop on your entire legacy. Don't go there. Even if you think this, shut up, because it's just like, don't ruin it by being someone who just doesn't get it. So that said, he is such a brilliant performer.
Right.
That I kind of, you know, when like you may love your parents and they'll say something and you're just like, oop, please don't ever say that again. And you kind of still love them. Yeah. That's what I feel about Dame Edna. I'm like, please, you know, it's like, Barry, you're too smart to be this old fashioned about trans issues. Please don't go. Just if you need to be a dimwit about it, stop talking, you know.
It's really interesting that he would even have those sort of complications, because it's like his whole art form is married to that whole, the muddiness of it. So you would think he would have made peace with some people, you know, spilling over to him in those sort of fashions. But I guess, you think it's homophobia, or like, is it just purely a way of making money for him? Like, what is it?
I certainly don't think he's homophobic at all. Okay. I mean, but I do.
Some of those comments were kind of nasty.
Yeah. Oh, he's said some stuff, but he's an insult comic. He's also, we forget, I think he's between 80 and 90. Okay.
Yeah, it's a different.
You're a world away. I think you do get to a point where you're going, I can't learn one more thing, you know, and maybe, and not to, I'm going to say this in a very glib way, and trans people don't get me. Maybe being transgender is like TikTok to him. He's like, I can't do one more thing. I just can't learn it. I can't do it. It's like, you know, but it's like, don't get in anybody else's way. Just be quiet. You don't have to poop on TikTok. Just don't you know, it's like, stop talking anti-trans baloney, okay? Don't do it. Just stop, you know. So why am I completely, I keep censoring every dirty word I want to use. When I'm around you, I'm like, oh, he won't want me to swear.
You're on Instagram Live. You can say whatever you want to say.
It's an exercise for me. I said baloney instead of another B word. So anyway, but
let him rip, Frank. I need the ratings. Let him rip.
Okay. No,
So
he disappointed me. Edna is such a brilliant performer.
Yeah.
That it disappoints me that so late in the game, he's saying things. And you're like, you got 10 more years. Just do Dame Edna and say what you need to as her, but in real life, pipe down about stuff
But
you don't
there
get.
are some generational issues, and when you mentioned that could pretty much sum it up as to why he has that particular frame of mind, that point of view. Do you think the market is getting a little bit too saturated, Frank? Because, I've always known that there were drag queens, and they've always been a plenty. But now it's as if there's so many of them, the novelty is risk being lost, and a part of the attraction is like, wait a minute, a drag queen. It's like you sight them, And I feel like now it's beginning to be ubiquitous. There's just so many of them. Do you think that's sort of like dampening the effect of them overall? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Everyone sort of says like, oh, there's so much content on television now. It was better when there were only 3 channels or something, we all watch the same thing. And I don't know if I agree with that. So I think that the cream will rise to the top. The really good drag queens, the troopers, will be seen for the talented ones and will rise, hopefully will rise to the top. And I hope it doesn't become boring to people. But at the upside of that is the queens have had to up their game and be really good. And the ones who are quick as a whip, Hedda works a lot. You know why? Because she's good.
Yeah. Now the old school queens, how are they feeling about these recent ones? Like, what is the temperature there? Like, how are they feeling about all these queens that are coming out every season on Drag Race? Are they embracing them? Are they celebrating them? Or is there a bit of a rub because they didn't develop in the manner that they did?
I can only repeat things I've heard. Okay. I don't want to get in their heads. They have to speak to that themselves. What I have heard, Coco Peru said to me, she went on a cruise, was invited on a cruise with a bunch of Rue girls. Okay. And she thought no one would know who she was. And
really,
that was so not the case. They not only came to her show, they plugged her show and said, you have to go see this legend. She's that brilliant. And she is. Right. Coco Peru is amazing. Yeah. I've heard people say that they are not working because they've never been on the show, so there's less interest in them. And I heard the comment I loved most was I interviewed Darcel 16, who is a Portland, Oregon legend. He was either in the Korean War or World War II, I don't remember. But he had a wife, he had a husband, he did drag, he owns a bar, he's like, the drag queen of the city, and he's, the oldest working drag queen in the world.
Wow.
And he said, queens who say that the RuPaul girls are stealing their business were probably not doing that well to begin with. And I was like, well, you're 80s. And, he's got his gig going in Portland, and do they know him does the world know him the way they know RuPaul? No, but he's the queen of his own queendom, and he's happy with it. So that's what I was hearing. But I do think girls who are on the show have an easier time getting booked.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I don't necessarily, because it's a money. You will go meet someone you saw on TV, whether they could have, I always remember Quentin Crisp used to say, you could murder your mother, go on television and talk about it, and the next day people would cross the street to say, oh, I saw you on the telly last night. It's true. It's like if you're on TV, it's a big deal. hell, you and I milked that for as long as we could, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we
we
got to
did.
go.
I tried my
So
best to get miles out of that one season, and it didn't. You did better than I did, but I swear to God,
I
I
was
was
on
good.
other stuff longer, but still, I mean, you got to do your own. You got to keep on keeping on. But
Yeah,
I do think that it's a mixed bag for folks, and I think that they'll, I think it's a mix of the cream rises to the top,
yeah,
and being on TV doesn't hurt, and but that said, um, if you're Kim Kardashian, you could still walk in and sell anything.
yeah. You're right.
We always say you could go in and Jim and I would joke about, she could go in and say, I'm going to fish my turds out of my bowl and I'm going to sculpt them into replicas of artists, famous artwork. They'd sell it in the room.
They
You could
would.
have a brilliant idea and they'd have no interest. Meanwhile, there is some show about poop that's on, and I just was like, okay, your dumbest nightmare of how stupid something could get.
Yeah,
And you're like, oh, someone already beat you to that. They sold the poop show, and you're,
yeah.
oh, okay. So I don't know. You get older and crabby, but the really the thing is to keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
That's what I find. And I think the drag queens feel the same way. Do you
They
think?
do. Now, one last question.
Yeah.
A lot of queens have built their whole entire acts on icons like Streisand, Cher, Diana. Have you ever heard an icon going on record where they just absolutely hated the fact that they were parodied by a drag queen?
I
Because
can't.
I know
I
Bette
cannot give you a.
Midler.
Yeah, she's
Bette
probably
Midler
tough.
loved hers.
Oh, you liked her?
My roommate Larry Blum. He was really good friends with Kenny Sasha. Remember
Yes,
Kenny?
yes.
And
Kenny
he
Sasha.
did Bette Midler. Yeah.
She was.
Where'd you go? You got excited.
I did the backflip. I'm going to hold it by hand now. That's it. All right. I did. There we go. There,
Okay.
I can look at my book. All right. There we go. No, I was going to say, yeah, Kenny Sasha he's the one little regret that I have in the book, that I did not give him as much play as I should have in my drag book. But yeah, he was a favorite. Richard Skipper, who is in my book, was Carol Channing's favorite, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
Barbara Streisand, worked with Steven Brinberg. I mean, they've done, she's been in touch with him. So she sent him to Donna Karen's birthday one year to say,
wow.
I can be there, so here's a drag queen version of me. So I think that she must approve of, of him. So I do think that there's that. But I would guess that when they're lazy portrayals, that they're probably not thrilled with what's going on. But it was interesting. One of the stories, and I have to look to see if it's in the book. Steph, lately I've been going, did they cut that out? Because I was all excited for a whole year about the book, and now it's been a little bit, and I've been like, did they cut him out of the book? And I completely forgot. So, but there was a performer who's quite brilliant, a performance artist named John Kelly, and John Kelly does. I'm gonna blank on her name now. Wait, he does. Hedda's gonna kick my ass because Hedda will know exactly who I'm
She just
talking
said, "Love
about.
you, Frank."
Hedda, who are we talking about? Hedda, who? John Kelly. Who does he do? I can't. So
I'll make sure. I'll make sure that I ask her that question when I get her on.
I know. No, I can't think of it now. No, she's got that. What's the album Blue? She's.
I don't. I don't know.
I can't think of it now. Oh, the
We'll
hell.
figure it out.
But she was in. She's iconic, and I can't think of the name because I've been in my heart.
Mitchell? Is it Mitchell, perhaps?
Joni Mitchell. Thank you. Yes. Anyway, thank you. It's Joni Mitchell.
Thank you, Hedda.
Even the dog is like, it's Joni Mitchell. Okay, it's Joni Mitchell. The dog and I ran in here to scream, Joni Mitchell. Okay.
Hey, Jim. This is beginning to be a family affair. I love it. There's a lot of hysteria on the soapbox.
Thank you, Joni Mitchell. That's what I meant. Anyway, but anyway, but he did Joni Mitchell for Joni Mitchell. So I think that's amazing. Oh, and this is one other weird thing that I have to find footage of it. Jim Bailey, who was like the female impersonator of the 60s and 70s.
Right.
He was on like the Lucy Show. Okay. He did Peggy Lee. He did his Judy Garland was what he was truly known for, but he did Barbara and Judy and stuff. He performed as Judy Garland with Liza Minnelli.
Could anybody tell the difference, or did they know it was him?
No, they knew it was him. But that's weird. Can you imagine being like, where are you going to go? Oh, I got to go perform. Well, that's the guy who does my mother, and I'm going to go perform. You know, that's pretty wacky. Joni Mitchell. Anyway, there, John Kelly, Joni Mitchell. I've got it now. I'll remember forever.
Frank,
yeah, no.
I love you so much for doing this for me and my platform. The Soapbox thanks you. I know your arm is drag combing through the big wigs of show business. Folks, is on Amazon. Can you get it at the bookstores?
You can get it at the bookstore, honestly, but with what's going on, order it on Amazon. It helps me just as much as any. Pay whatever is the least amount, because I still get my dollar one way or the other. So save yourself a few bucks and,
Frank,
and do your thing.
You have always been in my corner. I love you, and one day we are going to be on television again. I already know it is happening.
Yeah, if Joni Mitchell doesn't kick my ass, that old girl will come after me. Now, how could you forget my name? And I don't blame you.
No, things happen, John. We're past 40. Things like that are bound to happen.
Yeah, it's a senior moment, I'll tell you. It's tough being
Frank,
home.
I love you. I love you so much, and you stay strong and get out the boat, my friend. I love you.
Bye, love. Say hi to Hedda.
I will. Bye, sweetie. Stay on and watch if you will. Bye-bye.
I will.
All right. All right, folks. That was my friend, the legendary Frank DeCaro. Frank DeCaro has been in my life since 2005. And I swear to you, he just makes life so much better. He's a wealth of knowledge. He knows so much. And I'm just grateful to have him on the Soapbox. So without further ado, we are going to bring on my next guest. And that would be the legendary drag icon, Hedda Lettuce. I'm having some technical issues here. So give me a second as I try to add her on. There we go. All right, 1 second here. Let's see. I tell you, this freaking technology is something, folks. All right, let's get Hedda on here. Hedda, jump on the Soapbox. Are you there?
I'm here, darling. I'm here.
There you go. I'm having the same issue that I had with Frank. It's going to take a minute for you. Can you see me?
I can see you beautifully, darling.
Oh, look at you. This is beautiful. Oh, just give you a little about Hedda. She's a comedian. She's drag icon. You may have seen her in Two Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, Sex and the City, most recently Ray Donovan, Project Runway. She was quoted by the New York Times as being a singer and satirist, impresario, and folks, we are going to witness and experience the legendary Hedda Lettuce. Welcome to the Soapbox, sweetie. Thank you so much for saying yes to me. Can you hear me? I can't see you, Hedda. It's really weird. Let's see here. You haven't jumped on yet, and it's all quiet. She's in Mexico, so we may have a little issues with the long distance thing here. Can you guys see Hedda? I can't hear her. Let's try it again. I'm going to add you back on, Hedda. All right, let me try again. Everybody lost you, Hedda. I'm going to add you back on. Hold on. Let's see here. All right, let's try Hedda again. Hedda, we're waiting on you.
Happened. I don't know what happened.
I don't either. We're having I think Instagram is having some issues yeah, because I think I had some issues with Frank, and then and it's taking a little bit for you to join on, and this is kind of weird. So we're waiting.
That's showbiz.
I know. Can you see me?
I can see you beautifully, darling. I can see you.
Now, nobody can see you, Hedda. It's really, really weird. This is Can you see her, Frank? Everybody's saying hooray.
They're saying perfect. And
okay, so all right, you're good now. All right, you're good. All right, so beautiful. Hedda, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate this. So let me first begin thanking you, first of all. I come from Texas. And when I was in Texas, all I knew was Southern glamour when it came to drag. They were just doing pageants, and it was all about titles. And when I moved to New York, I was quickly acclimated to how big drag can be, more of an act. And it was you, and I believe there was Harmonica Sunbeam and all the crew at Lips. You guys showed me that, so thank you so very much, Hedda. Hedda, you're still not on. This is really weird. She's gone again. All right. So I'm going to take you back off and we're going to try it one more time. I don't know. It's really weird. We're having technical issues with Hedda. We're going to try one more time. All right. One more time. Come on, Hedda. Let's see here. We're waiting for Hedda Lettuce, folks. We're waiting for
I'm
Hedda.
here. I don't know what's happening. It has nothing to do with my internet.
There you go. Yay!
My internet is perfectly fine. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know either. People kept saying they were losing you, so I don't know what it is. But now we can see you. Look how beautiful you are.
People have been losing me all my life, ever since I was a child, when my mother lost me at Bamberger's.
Hedda, did you hear how I was really telling you about my
Yes.
Thank you so much, sweetie. You showed me what drag can be in its completeness. And I didn't even know I was watching you. I had saw you somewhere, and I was like, who is this person? And like I said, all I knew about drag was Southern drag, you know, the pageants and all that stuff. And you were a complete act, and it agreed with me because as an actor, I look for that. So thank you so much for being that person.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're welcome.
Did you win an award? What award is that, Hedda?
I'm just holding an Oscar. I stole it off of Celeste Holmes' piano when she was still alive. Well, she was barely alive at the time, and I just, you know, when she turned away, which took a while because she was very old, I swiped it, put it in my purse, and put a replacement Oscar on the piano.
What is the Oscar for, Hedda? What are you going to play?
I'm not sure what she won the Oscar for, but there it was on her piano in her Central Park West apartment when I went to visit her with a friend, and I saw it, and I said I had to have it. I had sticky fingers then. Now, not so much. But she's dead. She doesn't care now. Who am I going to give this back to?
Are you using it as a door stopper like Betty Davis?
No. I'm using it as a dildo because times are rough during COVID. Have you ever said Oscar sit on Oscar? I'm telling you, the shoulders are a little difficult to get past. But
I can imagine.
It's wonderful. Once you give into it and take a deep breath, close your eyes and think of England.
Oh, I love Okay, all of a sudden this interview is off the rails because my questions won't even pale in comparison to what you're saying.
Well, I'm just telling you the truth as far as I can remember it. You know, it's been a long life and a lot of things have happened.
How did Hedda get her beginning? Where did it all start? Did you grow into somebody's patch in the backyard? Like, where did Hedda even spun from? Who are her parents?
Well, I come from a long line of lettuces. There's the Lettuce family. There's my grandmother, Betta Lettuce, and then there's my mama, Shredda Lynn Lettuce from Pigeon Tip, Tennessee. And then there's my Jewish aunt from Long Island, Netta Iceberg. And then there's my deadbeat dad, Romaine, and my nephew, Bib, and the exchange student we took him from China when I was a little girl, Bok Joy. And my emotionally challenged cousin, Coleslaw. But there's so many others. But I will tell you, I grew up in a little town. I was born in Pigeon Tit, and I had dreams of stardom. And when you're born in Pigeon Tit, the one thing you want to do is get the hell out of Pigeon Tit. And I got the Greyhound bus, the last seat on that bus, landed in Port Authority, and the dream came alive in New York City.
Yes. Now, how did Hedda find her way on Sex in the City or Two on Food?
Well,
what were you doing?
Sex in the City was very interesting. I went on on an audition, and the part I thought was very peculiar. The part was I was to play Samantha's ex-boyfriend, who was a hockey player, who now works in a drag bingo parlor, much like Lucky Chang's in the day, in a sense, Lucky Chang's-ish, and runs into Samantha, and now he's doing drag, and he does drag to emulate Samantha, and that was the whole thing. And I remember the thing that sealed the audition, because Patrick King, whatever the man's name was.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to audition for him and a few others, and it was very casual. It was in an office, and the thing that sealed it was when the line was, "It's me." What was my name? Brad. And I lifted my wig up a little bit. And what you and Frank were talking about before, about lifting the wig and showing that you're a man, that was the moment where I think I nailed it, because I was like, oh, look, it's me, Brad Mikulski. And then Brad Mikulski was married and had 3 children before, which is so far removed from my life because I'm barren.
Wow.
I'm
No, but
self-barren. I chose to be barren. I had a self-at-home barren kit because
you don't
children.
have any icebergs that you don't know about running around Manhattan?
No, children are a waste of time unless they can pour you a dirty martini by the age of 3. Why bother having them?
What is your earliest memory of drag in the media, Hedda? Like, what drag icon or what drag artist did you first see in the
Well,
media?
darling, I don't think you'll be very impressed, but you know, I did watch a lot of British television growing up.
Okay.
My mother fancied herself an intellectual, and she just thought, you know, she never wanted to be in Pigeon Tit either. And she, you know,
Right.
so we watched a lot of Monty Python and Benny Hill. So I mean, that Benny Hill was pretty base when it came to drag, as was Monty
Yeah.
Python. But they were playing with gender. Monty Python was more. I would say they were doing more realistic drag. Actually, they're playing housewives and things of that.
Yeah,
nature.
yeah.
I was never good at cleaning, so I didn't really relate to that, but I related to the comedy part of it. And then,
Yeah.
of course, you had, but you know, it's also a lot about the people you see in life, and also old movie actresses, because all the old
Yeah.
movie actresses used to see, they were all drag queens in their own way. They were playing.
Well, they were huge, exactly.
They
Yeah,
were
larger
an
than life.
exaggerated form of a woman. So
Yeah.
between Benny Hill, Monty Python, lots of Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, Lana Turner, Carol Burnett. The lady I saw at the church when I was little who looked like a drag queen smelled like Satan. She smelled, she reeked of perfume. She was like a mob wife. I looked at her and I thought, what is that? And that kind of hit me too as a child. Just a whole, and neighbors and people, and it all mixes up into one big tossed salad of just a bunch of personalities that I ended
So it
up.
just snowballed into what we're looking at today.
I'm on my fainting couch. I faint a lot nowadays.
Well, I want you to stay lucid for us right now for at least the next 10 minutes.
I think
So
I think fainting is a symptom of COVID. They don't talk about that. I just faint. So I had a fainting couch put in the home.
So Hedda, today with the current revolution of drag queens, and they're all over the place, are you encouraged by it, or do you feel like you contributed to where we are today as far as drag culture as opposed to what we're saying? Do you feel like you're a part of that foundation?
Well, everything does start with a good foundation garment. Drag is all built on a good foundation garment. So if I can be part of that foundation garment to keep that back fat in, then I'm fine. I'm good with that. You know, I don't know. Whenever I don't know, perhaps I am. When I run into these RuPaul Drag Race girls, they said, you were the first drag queen I saw. You were the first drag queen on television I saw, because when I did the People's Court in 1996 as Hedda.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was a huge deal, because drag queens really weren't on television and in daytime television at that time. And that was a big, so people will say, and I thank them, and I don't really know what to say, but I'm happy that I could inspire people to be the best person that they can be.
Well, what's fascinating is, artists, when you came up, I think the reason why I still remember that time when I first saw you and others like you was you guys established connections with your audience, and we wanted to follow you and go wherever you were going, because there was something that you established that made us want you. It was like you knew us. And I feel like we don't really get that with today's crop of drag queens. I do love them, but there is that connection that's missing. Would you agree with that?
I would. Well, I think the connection that's missing. I think part of what I like to do as a performer and is what I love doing improvisational work with an audience, because I generally like people at least a 6-foot distance with me with a microphone in my hand.
Today,
in general. Yeah. But in general, I like people at a distance in general, and as long as I have the microphone, I'm fine. But I like talking to people in the audience. I love making jokes with people. I love to laugh with people, and that brings people in. I was it brings the humanity of the audience, the humanity of the performer. You all become part of it, mixed with the singing and the light dancing and all the other stuff. And I just think I started in a time period where you had to be out there with people, hustling, not online, developing a fan base, or you were out there flyering, you were doing this, it was just I'm very lucky that I grew up in New York City at the time I did, especially in the 90s, when the drag
Right.
scene and performance art scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Many of those talents that are still alive are still working today. And
Yeah.
I got to experience more than most people will in the entire lifetime. There was a intimacy about it in a way that you can't
Right.
create that does lack today. Everything is very
Yeah.
glossy. Everything
Yeah.
is very over processed. I mean, let's be honest here. You wouldn't see one of the RuPaul's Drag Race girls showing casually up on a fainting couch with a turban, with sunglasses.
Well,
and
they wouldn't have
glasses
the
underneath
fortitude to find the funny in that, you know? It's all about the moment, the Instagram, the picture, you know, and you have developed and cultivated the act. And that right there in itself is very lasting, and it's honorable and it's admirable, and it makes people love you and are endeared to you.
Well,
So no.
the looks fade, but the act, as long as the brain stays intact, keeps on going. So I've been evolving. I think one thing as being a performer is being able to roll with the punches and evolution, especially the
Yeah.
time we're in right now. I started doing about 3 weeks into COVID. I started doing my weekly Sunday night live Instagram show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I've been doing that every week. And because I thought if I stopped, I would get stale and also terribly bored. And
Right.
It's been helpful, but that's all part of the evolution. And I realized, like, part of me doesn't want to go back to live performing. I really enjoy
Oh, wow.
sitting in front of my bathroom doing my show.
What? And speaking of today, are you feeling any pressure to be political at all? I mean, are you being a little bit more outspoken as to the climate of the times? Are you pretty much?
There's a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me that can do that a lot better. I do it in a roundabout way. I mean, everyone has a different purpose in life.
Yeah.
Mine, in a way, is to make you forget your troubles, recharge your battery, and then go on and deal with the heavier stuff. You know,
Sure.
not everybody has to. I don't have to hit you over the head and say this is what I believe. This is what I do. I do at times, but I always twist it in a way that otherwise I just because everyone gets so upset so easily too.
They do, but the reason why I asked is because, Hedda, you have a platform, and people will listen to you, and to whom much is given, much is required. And so I just wonder if you would, sometimes feel the need to push what is right to the people who you have their ear.
Well,
and that's
I think what is right, what I think is right may not be what other people think is right, and therein lies the problem. And therein lies the issue with comedy. There are political comedians that do that for a living. We have the insult comics, you have the political comics, and then you have the entertainers, and you have the goofball, whatever. So whatever, I am not though people may see just by the nature of what I do as political, doesn't mean I'm a political comic or a performer. But but there is also that level to it by pushing those buttons, which are, like you were saying with Frank, are less pushed now. There is a saturation. Drag is not as special. It's not the rare butterfly in the room anymore. It's become more. When something becomes too acceptable, when something becomes very mainstream, doesn't always mean it's good, by the way.
Exactly, and that's what I was wanting to know.
They just want to buy lip kits. That's all they care about, and you become a product to sell something. But I think drag still has one up on that, because drag is still edgy in terms of you're not just a Kylie Jenner just taking thirst trap photos and trying to sell with your. There's more substance to it than that. There's still more substance to it, because there's something still really weird about it for most people. Odd. So I don't know. It's an evolution. I'm kind of content with my life. I do about 2 television things a year. Nothing, not huge things. I mean, Ray Donovan was big, and then I did this new series called Katie Keene, and COVID killed that. They're not coming back a second season.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's showbiz, and I spend my life in Mexico now. You have to evolve, and I love doing live performing. I am an element in live performing, and we all shine in different areas, and because of that, we all get different types of attention. I know that's one of my, is being a live performer. Not my concern is live performing has changed immensely. I do not want to stand on stage in an audience with people wearing masks on their face. The
Yeah.
intimacy for me is very important. So I'm really trying to analyze where I want to fit in with all of this again.
Well, honey, you mentioned evolution, and I swear to you, you will find your way because it's just built in. You found your way thus far, and you will continue to. So I would, what is it? I tell you, everything is ornate.
It's my Mexican coffee mug.
I love it. So last question, Hedda, before I let you go and you
Yes,
can finish
Gina.
your day. At this point of your life, what is your greatest takeaway and your biggest lesson learned? What would you say would be your greatest takeaway and your biggest lesson learned at this point in your life?
My biggest lesson learned, my biggest takeaway in life. Oh, I would say, believe in yourself more than you need to, because there's a lot of people out there who are going to think so little of you that you need to think so much of yourself in order to keep going.
To compensate, yeah,
You
you're
know,
right.
and there's also so many people out there who think so much of themselves and have so little to offer, and they've gone so far just because they have that tenacity, that I would love to see people truly, I would say, I wish I believed in myself more at times.
Yeah.
I wish I believed in myself more and didn't, and was my best cheerleader at times. You know, I wish I was more that. I wish I was more.
Oh, Hedda, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Resonates with me because sometimes I do doubt. You know, along the way, it's like, am I doing this?
Doubting is part of the art. Doubting is part of an artist.
It is. But sometimes it gets so weighed down until it stifles me. But I keep going. So it's really good to know that you said that, because we can see the results of someone who believed in themselves and kept going, and look at who you are today. So I really appreciate that. Hedda, thank you for saying yes. I really appreciate it.
It's good. It's good. It gets me warmed up for my show tonight. This whole thing. I was ready hours ago because I fucked up the time.
I know. You texted me.
I didn't drag on and off all day long, thanks to you.
You scared the hell out of me. I was like, oh my God, am I late? And I was like, wait a minute. It's 9 o'clock. She's in Mexico. My goodness. That was crazy. No problem. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about the little Instagram hiccup. And baby, one of these days I will see you live and I will just shower you with love in person, and I'll have no mask on and I will hug you.
Okay. I'm in Puerto Vallarta for those people who want to look for me. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much, love. And you have a good one. Bye-bye. Folks, that is Hedda Lettuce, the legendary drag icon Hedda Lettuce. I tell you, I just contacted her kind of out of the blue, but I knew that she was quoted in my friend Frank's book, so I kind of had the angle going in there. But when she told me that she would be more than happy to do it, I was really, really honored. Folks, that is the show. Sorry about the little Instagram technical hookups. You have a lot of people that are doing these things nowadays, so the traffic tends to get a little bit of intense at times. But we were able to pull this episode off. I didn't want to talk about politics. We thought we talked about politics a little. I just wanted to bring the fun to this hour, and thank you, Hedda and Frank, for allowing me and helping me to do this. Folks, we will be back next week. Are you registered to vote? I'm sure you are. Making sure you know where your polling place is, making sure you know where to drop your ballots off, where to mail it in if you're going to do all that good stuff. Folks, we got to win this thing, and that's all I will say about that. Thank you so much for watching Soapbox Sunday, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.